Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. You know, if there's one film from Blue Sky that I really have no interest whatsoever, it's Ice Age. No, I'm not joking. I really hate that movie, as well as some of the following sequels. If you've seen my blog of the fifth movie, along with my top 13 films that I hate, you'll understand why. However, fortunately, director Chris Wedge has made better films afterwards, like Monster Trucks and Epic, both of which I already blogged on my show. But there is one animated film from Blue Sky that I've been wanting to do for a while now, and I want to consider it Blue Sky's first good movie. Released on March 11th, 2005, the movie is Robots. So, let's get started, shall we? In a world of sentient robots, striving young inventor Rodney Copperbottom wants to work for his idol, Big Weld, whose industries makes spare robot parts. But, unfortunately, Big Weld has just been disposed as company head by the villainous Phineas T. Ratchet, who wants to make all robots submit to profitable forced upgrades. During his time in Robot City, Rodney comes across a group of misfit robots known as the Rusties, led by Fender, and with their help, he convinces Big Weld to fight Ratchet to get his position back and save Robot City. So, what do I think of the movie? Well, in my honest opinion, this has got to be my absolute favorite movie from Blue Sky, and I think it's very underrated these days. But to further explain why I love this movie, let's move on to Mustang notes. Development on the movie began in 2001, when director Chris Wedge and author William Joyce failed to adapt his book Santa Calls. So instead, they decided to do a story on robots. This film was the second film to be based on or written by William Joyce, the first being Buddy back in 1997. And it is the first completely computer animated film based on or written by Joyce. Also to note, Rivet Town, which happens to be Rodney's hometown, was rumored to be based on Watertown, New York, where movie director Chris Wedge lived during his teenage years. But for some reason, Wedge dismissed this in an interview. As for the animation, well, to me, the animation is not only a huge improvement over Ice Age, but it looks very reminiscent of William Joyce's book illustrations. Plus, I think the robots in this movie look very creative, kind of similar to William Joyce's work on Roly Poly Oly. Also, one example is that one of the robots in the film is a Tin Man cameo, and a few other robots act like normally inanimate objects like fire hydrants, lampposts, telephones, and mailboxes. Plus, one scene at the train station pokes fun at security metal detectors. Also, I think Robot City is very breathtaking and futuristic, kind of like Disney's Tomorrowland and Epcot. One of my favorite parts in this movie is the Crosstown Express, which takes robots to Big Weld Industries, and in my opinion, the Crosstown Express feels like a creative thrill ride, and I also like the final climax at the Chop Shop. Anyway, I guess that's all I have for Mustang notes, so let's move on to the characters and the voice actors who brought them to life. Our main character, Rodney Copperbottom, is voiced by Ewan McGregor, who during the same year played Valiant Pigeon in Valiant, and he also got to be Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Star Wars prequel trilogy, and just recently, he played Black Mask in Birds of Prey. You know, I like Rodney. He's smart, helpful, and I like that he's very idealistic and an aspiring inventor. Plus, I like the scene where he and his new friends help fix a whole bunch of outmodes throughout the neighborhood. Next we have Rodney's first new friend, Fender, voiced by the late, great Robin Williams. While Rodney did see Fender a couple times after arriving in Robot City, they didn't officially become friends until after fixing Fender's neck. To me, Fender is my favorite character in the movie, mostly due to Robin Williams' acting, despite the fact that Fender can sometimes be a little mischievous, and he has a habit of breaking apart sometimes. And there are times when Fender has some dirty humor, but then again, Robin has said some dirty things in his stand-up. Also, I like that Fender enjoys very few thrills in his life. Next we come to Rodney's homemade invention sidekick, Wonderbot, vocalized by director Chris Wedge. This little guy is my second favorite character in the film, and I think that Wonderbot is a very loyal character. Plus, I like the scenes where he helps Rodney and Herb wash dishes, where he helps Rodney try to get into Big World Industries, and when he dances at the Big World Ball. However, Wonderbot can also be very nervous and prone to short circuit when he's under pressure. But Wonderbot does have a tough side, like when he fights Madame Gasket with a huge pipe. Also, I like when Wonderbot communicates by using his 3 wired limbs to form pictures or act out its thoughts like charades. Rodney's dad, Herb, is voiced by Stanley Tucci, whom was in Mr. Peabody and Sherman, the 2017 live-action Beauty and the Beast movie, Captain America, the First Avenger, and this fall, he'll be in Robert Zemeckis' adaptation of Roald Dahl's The Witches. Man, that's the 3rd time I mentioned that movie this season. Anyway, Herb works as a dishwasher at Mr. Gunk's restaurant. To me, I think Herb is one of the best dads in an animated movie because he's very carefree and supportive to his son. And I think the two share a very unique fondness for Big World and his TV show. Also, Herb encourages Rodney to follow his dreams. And I like that, well, when Herb was a child, he wanted to be a musician. However, later on in the film, while Rodney is in Robot City, Herb begins to break down. But thankfully, he remains optimistic. Next is Fender's kid sister, Piper, voiced by Amanda Bynes, who got to be in Big Fat Liar, She's the Man, Sydney White, and Hairspray. I like her too. She's feisty, sassy, smart-mouthed, and she has a very independent personality. Plus, Piper is very loyal, as well as a comforting friend with a big heart. One of my favorite scenes involving Piper is when she, along with Aunt Fanny, round up as many other outmoded robots as they can to help Rodney and the Rusties fight Madame Gasket. Moving on, we also have Cappy, a level-headed executive at Big World Industries, voiced by Halle Berry, whom I remember from the 2004 Catwoman movie and the 2013 thriller film The Call. The thing I can say about her is that she's calm, but also strong-willed and clever. Plus, Cappy is one of the more level-headed and reasonable characters in the movie, and she deeply sympathizes with the robots who have been outmoded. Plus, I may feel weird for saying this, but I think Cappy makes a decent love interest for Rodney. Next we come to Rodney's idol, Big Weld, a jolly inventor and owner of Big Weld Industries, voiced by the comedic genius Mel Brooks. Best known from the Muppet movie, Spaceballs, Underdogs, the Hotel Transylvania sequels, Ballerina aka Leap, Toy Story 4, and next year he'll be in Blazing Samurai. In my eyes, Big Weld is a great robot who not only makes spare parts for robots, but he also invents things to make everyone's lives better. And he influences every other robot to follow their dreams. However, while Big Weld isn't hiding, he becomes a cranky old hermit who plays with dominoes, until Rodney helps encourage him to get out there and fight Ratchet. Plus, I like that in the end, Big Weld makes Rodney his right-hand bot and his eventual successor. Next we have Phineas T. Ratchet, voiced by Greg Keener, who got to be in a 1995 Sabrina film and The Last Song. You know, I find this guy to be extremely arrogant, greedy, self-centered, and materialistic. Once he takes control of Big Weld Industries, he decides to discontinue making spare parts so that older, rusty robots will be forced to either buy upgrades or become outmodes, mainly due to his greediness and the fact that he hates rusty robots. Finally, we come to Ratchet's mom and the main villain of the film, Madame Gasket, the tyrannical owner of the Chop Shop, voiced by Jim Broadbent, whom I know from The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Arthur Christmas, Harry Potter 6, and Mary and the Witch's Flower. I find Gasket to be way more of a threat compared to Ratchet, due to her sick and twisted personality. Plus, I think it's bad enough that her chop shop melts down broken down robots and discarded scrap metal and turns them into upgrades, but it's more insane that she wants her son Ratchet to not only kill Big Weld and officially take over his company by adding his name to it, but also adding his name to the entire city. Now that's just plain evil. Other voice actors in the film include Drew Carey as Crank, Jennifer Coolidge as Aunt Fanny, Harlan Williams as Lugnut, Diane Wiest as Rodney's mom Lydia, Natasha Lyonne as Fender's love interest Loretta, and Paul Giamatti as Big Weld's gatekeeper Tim. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, Robots is a remarkable movie to come from Blue Sky. Not only was it a huge improvement over Ice Age, but the animation is simply futuristic. The robot characters have very creative designs, The comedy can be very hilarious at times, while some can be a bit dirty. The main character, Rodney, is very idealistic, and I know that he'll be a great successor for Big Weld. His new friends like Fender, Piper, and the other Rusties are great. His sidekick Wonderbot is cute and zany, and the villains Ratchet and Gasket are really ruthless. Lastly, this movie truly does shine no matter what you're made of. So, I think this film is really underrated these days, and I highly recommend that you folks should watch this movie with your families and your kids, especially if you want to watch something fun. I give this film a what the hey, 100%. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me again for my next blog, because a few friends have requested me to look at something really fantastic and Fox related. Mustang Power.